Welcome to the Let It Bleed podcast, a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
And just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
Go, and then you psych me out twice. I love it.
I think it's
Gotta
just the
keep me
delay.
on my toes.
I'm just gonna go with it being the delay.
All right, fair
That's what it
enough.
was.
Fair
The delay. Oh man, like when you know what's delayed? My reaction time to everything right now. I think my metabolism is just permanently delayed for a little bit. It's just like fucking
That's a cute
So
way to say you done smoked yourself retarded.
Sort of, not really. I mean, I'm just
Oh god,
like it's like
my Bluetooth
what?
headset, my duct tape Bluetooth headset is not working as nicely as I thought it would. I got a little bit too animated there for a second. Shit started slipping, but we're good. All right, we're good.
Calm down, dude. Be more robotic. Stop being as animated.
I don't know how.
I don't know how. Oh man. So I don't know what you've been watching lately or if you've seen this, but I just like had my fucking mind blown by this documentary series, a mini documentary series yesterday that I got into. And I guess it was because I had no idea about this trial or anything. Like I had no. It was kind of like that one documentary series, Wild Wild Country. Remember where like that just kind of like took so many people by surprise. You're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. So what are you talking about? The suspense
So
is
there's
killing
this.
me.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you just don't know to the end if you didn't follow it back in the day, like what
Is it the
side
same thing
you're
with
on.
this story?
Yes.
What are we
So,
talking about?
Anyways, it's the Devil Next Door.
The Devil
Have you
Next
heard of it?
Door.
So
I
have you
think-
heard?
I feel like I've seen that. I've scrolled past it, and I'm like, this looks like some white people shit, and so I
Okay,
didn't
so-
click on it.
No, it's like an actual little mini documentary series about this trial. Like I guess it should, it's said to have been like the trial of the century, and it really like was. And I'm surprised I fucking didn't know anything about it. And I'm sure it might have come up sometimes, but I'm surprised that I didn't know anything about this. And it was called, it was about this guy John D. I can't even pronounce his last name, but so basically. This guy from Ukraine has a family and everything, and he belongs to this Ukrainian community in like Ohio, I think it is, or something like that. There's like
Objection.
a big. Anyways, no, like there's like a community out there in Ohio. Anyways, he is I guess like the Russians. This was in the 80s. Like send a list to America of SS. Guards that are living in the United States, and he was one of them. So they go and they like pull him and take him to Israel to go on trial, and his whole family's like, what the hell's going on? Like it's like there's no way that our dad did any of that stuff. You like no, so unassuming, and like this guy who like was part of this community and knew all these other people that couldn't imagine him doing this shit, and now he's on trial, and there's like all these survivors that are like,
So he was
saying
a
that it was
Nazi?
him.
When he
Yeah,
was,
basically, like not even just like he was like one of the most notorious killers at like a gas chamber at
What the
was
fuck?
it? Yeah. Oh shit, Teplinka. Teplinka, I think was the name of the.
Oh, I used to have that game when I was a kid. You used to pull the little fucking strings out, and then like the marbles would fall. Yeah, that shit was dope. But also, he killed like a bunch of people.
That's what Teplinka is.
Maybe that was Kerplunk. All right.
Okay,
continue.
yeah. Okay, wow, that went way over my head right there.
Yeah, we went way too far out of bounds for that, and I do apologize to everybody whose time I just wasted.
Well, anyways, yeah, dude, it's a trip. Like, I mean, it kind of is like all of these different things in one that I was feeling. Like, I was feeling like a bit of like watching Chernobyl. Like, you kind of get this interesting history that you didn't really know so much about, but you're intrigued by it, and you're like, also it's definitely like one of those murder, like the Evil Genius documentary sort of thing, or like or even in Wild Wild Country, where you're just like, really, like what the, like, I'm not really so sure what I believe right now, because I didn't know how the case even ended up. I really didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
And
I'm like,
you
this
just hear,
Rajneesh guy is making a lot of sense.
yeah, so you're, well, like, and that's the thing, is like, you have all these different perspectives from the defense lawyers to the prosecuting lawyers, and they're not really just coming flat out and saying what happened to him. You know, they definitely keep you, and they edit it to keep you in suspense
Oh, those
the whole time.
bastards! So they don't even like give you the details. It's like driving you up to a car crash, but then like turning like the lane before you would like actually pass it or something.
Well, it's really it really goes. It's just so many flip flops back and forth. It's like basically presenting
So
you
was the car crash.
the trial. The what?
I said so was the car crash. You gotta keep
Yeah.
up, man.
Anyway,
I'm very stoned. I apologize.
yeah, I 2 times. I hope I don't fucking strike out right now.
I am
Anyways,
derailing this shit like a fucking car crash.
but you got to check it out, man. It's fucking gnarly, because the guy, okay, so fuck, I don't know if I should give away what happens, but it like it's something that happened in history. So would that really be giving it away, since it like actually already happened?
All right. How about I start the timer and I'll tell you when, and then you got 30 seconds to do it. And so anybody else, just hit that fast forward button that goes like 15, 30 seconds. Always there. Ready and go now.
Fuck. Okay. Well, so basically, this whole time you're kind of holding out doubt that he really wasn't the guy, you know, because even after they said he's guilty initially, they like still held on, and they like got an appeal because they found some other piece of evidence that like showed
Oh,
that it
shit.
wasn't this guy. And you know, the way that
10
they're
seconds.
making it seem, yeah, they're making it seem like, okay, it's probably not him. And then eventually they say, no,
Four.
it wasn't him, but he was still there as a Nazi guard. And then so you're kind of
Oh,
like,
shit. That's 30.
yeah, you're kind of like, do I feel bad? Yeah. So,
Damn. That's fucking crazy. All right. The Devil
but-
Next Door. I'm going to have to check that out.
yeah, dude, it's fucking, I don't know. It just put me, it was like entranced. It was one of those things I just watched at work the whole way through, all 5 episodes.
Yeah, not
So
all of
just-
us have that luxury, but I do respect that.
well, you know,
So
it's,
when you go to work, when you hit the office tomorrow,
yeah,
take some time out. Watch The Devil Next Door.
yeah, basically. And I can tell you a few other ones that you should check out as well. Fuck. What was the other one I was watching? Anyways,
this week I watched Rhythm and Flow. That was really good. It was it's like a singing competition show, but it was for hip hop. And so they
Yeah.
went around and grabbed just like 30 people or some shit like that and did it. And then by the time they weeded them out and they got to like the end, I'm like, oh shit, these are like legitimately really dope.
Yeah. I think I watched like 5 minutes of it, and I kind of just, I lost it. I just wasn't.
I can totally see
I
that.
don't-
Actually, we tried watching it like when it came out like a month ago. And then like 5 minutes in, like they have Nipsey Hussle on as a guest star. And we're like, oh shit. And then we just got sad. And then we stopped watching it for a little while. And then we went back later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of those kinds of shows, whether even if it is hip hop or anything like that. Like contest shows.
I
For,
totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah. You
It's
know.
like, oh,
But-
hey, there's a good. I'm never a fan of the middle of those shows. You know, there's a chunk at the front where it's like, oh, okay, this is cool, and then like, oh, you get the bad ones, you know, and you get this like whole awkward phase that actually is kind of entertaining, and then you get to this middle part where it's like, oh, here's all the people that we called down, but like, legit, like half of you still suck, and like the performances are like not okay, and then you just start hearing stories from people who you're like, I don't really care that fucking much. And then once you get to the end, then it's like, oh shit, now everybody's actually like pretty good. And then it gets 4.
Yeah.
So there's always like a middle chunk. Like, you know, if it's a 10 episode series, it's like the middle 4 are going to be kind of not great. That's with
Yeah.
any of them. But I do like those kinds of things. Like, but actually, I say that in like, I've only ever really liked 2. There was this one, and there was one that was, what was it called? The Sing Off. It was all like a cappella groups and stuff. And
okay.
yeah, this is the nerdiest I have ever felt on this podcast, and I have done long like D&D rants. But yeah, no, that shit was good. with Chance the Rapper, Cardi B, and T.I., who's also in the news today. Did you hear about that?
Dude, I don't watch the news. You were my. I listen to NPR when I'm in the car, and then you're my news. Like I don't watch.
NPR isn't going to be talking about this shit, man. He was on a podcast or something like that came out today or yesterday. I don't remember, but he said that like when his daughter turned 16, he started taking her to the doctor every year to make sure that she was still a virgin, and everybody's like, what the fuck? How are you going to volunteer some information like that? We're all going to pretend like that's not the craziest fucking thing we've ever heard.
Well, what, like, how, first of all, how did they do that?
I do think that that's all like kind of a bunch of pseudoscience. Like the hymen is not like, even like that's not even a real thing. And then to have a doctor go in and check that is also wildly unethical. But if you have that much money, I'm guessing
do you think he was being for real or just like saying?
I don't know. I don't want to believe it because in so many ways, T.I. is actually incredibly like progressive and intelligent and like a model person in the community and shit like that. You know, so I think even for this, I wouldn't stay mad at him. But I think. So like what was the context he said it in? Like who was talking to him and about what? He just like it's 2019, motherfucker. We don't have context. All right, if you do one thing weird, we're gonna pull it out and we're going to shame you for it for the rest of your life. That's the way the world works now. God damn it! I'm never gonna go listen to that podcast. I don't care what he has to say about it. But you know what? I love him enough that I'm not gonna even pretend like I was ever considering canceling him for this. So you know.
I was just curious. I was just curious to know, like, where was he on, like, an interview of some sorts, or just like somebody heard him say it, or I don't know.
It was in an interview, I guess. Like they were talking, and he like volunteered this information. I do know that much, but I didn't even bother looking up like what interview it was. You know. It was just just a fun, weird fucking story for today. Also, really fucked up. I hope he stops. I'm guessing the rest of the world seems to be doing that job for me, so I don't really feel a strong need to bring this attention to you know, raise awareness on this fucking topic, even though it's exactly what I'm doing. But
okay.
I did want to give points out to. Do you know Bezos and Mero? I've talked about them on the show before.
Who's that?
Oh, they have a late night show on Showtime that is fucking hilarious. Like, and they kill it. I watch it every week.
That is the one thing I want, and I don't have it. I get everything else, and I don't get Showtime. And there's so many shows I'm missing because of it.
Yeah, yeah, man. Jesus and Mero's. There's like 2 episodes in this week. It's just 2 dudes, and then they go out there and they talk about like it is like another late night show where they'll talk about like, you know, silly stories. They'll talk about like big stories in the news and politics and shit like that. But they're just like 2 dudes from the Bronx just getting drunk and just talking shit on like internet videos that they thought were funny this week, you know?
Well, okay. Speaking of that, that's the perfect segue to what I was kind of trying to bring up before.
I just wanted to say he fucking killed it with Deezus from that show on this. So this is what T.I. meant when he said he was, quote, wild as the Taliban. And I know you're not going to appreciate that, but there's somebody out there who fucking knows and loves T.I. I mean, knows the words, the Trouble Man. And that shit was hilarious to them, okay? It's not for you, it's for everybody else. You're welcome. Continue.
All right. Well, no, speaking of that, what you were just saying about the show, they just get stoned and they talk about stuff. I was watching Action Bronson, watching Ancient Aliens.
Do you know how many weeks on my notes at the bottom of the list now it said Action Bronson watches Ancient Aliens? Like, to talk about this. This is if we ever get into a lull. That's been sitting there for such a long time, and I've been waiting to talk about this for so goddamn long. I love that show.
It's just so wholesome.
He's
just
great.
He just sits there.
I love it. It still gets me every time. He's such a genuinely nice guy and kind soul, but he talks like a fucking dick. Like just the most. Every time he opens his mouth, I think he's gonna say some like funny, like mean, like roasty shit, and then he's like, "No, hey," he's like, "Yo, You shouldn't talk about yourself like that. You're a beautiful soul. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It cracks me up every time. And then I realize like, oh man, he's just a nice guy. And that's what surprises me and makes me giggle is how just kind that man is.
Dude, it just reminds me of periods of my life and certain groups of friends where some people are still exactly like that, where it's like that's just how stoned you get, and it's just like nonsense, absolute nonsense, just chilling the whole time, like saying stupid shit, and it just totally like the whole. I watched the episode with Urkel, fucking
it's
there,
a real
and
white, yeah.
he was just trying
I've
so
seen
hard
every
to like.
episode twice, so fucking quiz me, man. I fucking love that show.
He's just trying to be like cool with them, and they're just being high and kicking it. You could tell he's just, he's trying to like talk and make conversation and like, feel it out, but they're like on a whole other level of being like stoned for him, and they're just punking him too, because they're like just fucking with him the whole time. Like he'll say something like, "What do you mean?" Like, and he'll be like, "No, man." Like, he gets all. It's just hilarious though.
It's like you can't explain that show and sell it to somebody.
No,
you really can't.
It's like why. It's like, why aren't we doing that right now? Why aren't we videotaping us with Frankie and just doing some like,
That's literally what the show is. And even in the show, they're like, somebody's actually fucking paying us to do this shit. And like, yeah. I'm sure it's barely, they just like, all they do is buy the weed and the pizza. And then they fucking like put a camera on. They already had the rights to Ancient Aliens. And so they're just like, yeah, go ahead, put a green screen in there. And then those editors at Viceland, fucking God bless them, man. Because they put in so much work to every fucking show. Because clearly everybody that is on the network that actually is the talent is terrible at like actually conducting all this live shit. So just tons of cuts and all these wacky edits and shit. Like I think we've talked about it before, but have you've seen Most Expensivest, right?
No.
On Viceland? With 2 Chainz?
No.
The greatest show of all time?
Most Offensivest. I have to check this out.
Most Expensivest.
Oh, Most Expensivest. So it's like a really bougie cribs?
Basically, yeah. He goes around and just, like, they'll find a topic, and then he'll just go around and just do the most elaborate, extravagant version of, like, that thing that they can find. He just tries to spend as much money as he can. And so he'll go out and he'll do, like, oh fuck, see, I can't even think about it, but like he's clearly just so high and not taking any of this seriously, but the editors are the real fucking like heroes of that show, because like he'll be like, oh shit, that's cool, and he'll like snap and like flick his wrist and point at something, and then the editors will just have like a dove just fly out of his fucking like his sleeve and just fly away for no reason, Or somebody will be like, all right, and like do finger guns, and they'll just like put in like big fucking, they'll put in gun sound effects and effects and shit like that. It's just so weird. Again, it's one of those shows that's so hard to describe. But
something that should be on Adult Swim, basically, but it's a Viceland show.
Exactly. Very Eric Andre, the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Okay, there was one. Okay, there's one. Okay, that I finally remember. There's a cold open where it's 2 Chainz, and he's like, they just have him silently, like just walking up, like slowly walking up these stairs and rolling a blunt in like this like mansion or something, and they just have him just it's like a full like 30 seconds of just silence, and then he like gets to a certain stair, and then he turns around, kind of looks around, takes his time, takes a breath, and then he goes and he looks up and he's like, yo, what's up, y'all? And it's so awkward, but they just show the whole process of him like going up there, getting into character, and then doing multiple takes, and they do that just to embarrass him, like just to like make the whole thing just seem so fake and weird. And I don't know how to describe it better than that, but the shit fucking cracks me up. I'm usually very high, but it's
I always wonder with that how much they're in on it though, like on the joke of themselves, because there's got to be like,
I always definitely it's one of those things, I'm sure, where it's like they have no problem fucking with him, and there's certain things where I know like he had to put his foot down. Like there's one where he like wrestles a sumo wrestler, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, there was something about that episode, I can't remember exactly what, but I could kind of tell that they like definitely tamp some of that shit down, or he refused to do something, or like he made like you could tell like, oh, the obvious joke would have been here, but like he didn't let them use that footage or some shit like that.
Right. Well, okay, so we were talking about Dolomite, and
Yes.
you said how you watched the Eddie Murphy wedding, but you said you never watched the original Dolomite, right?
No, I said I had, but it had.
Oh,
Been,
you
it
had.
has been. It has been a long time. It's in there, and then I know there was multiple. I definitely haven't seen all of them, but
Well,
yeah.
okay, so but the original, like, so let's just go to the original Dolomite. Like, that's kind of like what another one where like what I'm trying to say, kind of like where you obviously know that it's a comedy or it's been looked at as a comedy, but like when he did it, it wasn't like he was trying to be funny. It didn't seem like he was trying to be funny. It was just really awkward, but then it didn't really seem like he was trying to like be a badass either. It just was like what it like
Yes.
it was really bad. It was just really bad. And you're like, okay, to what level is he playing us on, on him being aware of how like bad this is, like is this like just some pure comedic genius where he shows absolutely no sign that like he's acting? I don't know.
I think the truth is actually probably somewhere in the middle. I think sometimes he's in it, sometimes he tries, but it's also like a defense mechanism where they can just kind of play it off like, oh, this is always this weird character I'm playing, and you never know. And I can respect that, I feel like that's where the truth is. Do I know? Absolutely fucking not. But yeah.
Yeah, because anybody who watched the Netflix one with Eddie Murphy really should go watch the original, because they are very different. Like Eddie Murphy, I mean, as far as I'm talking about, like,
job of selling like the insecurity of it, where
I thought he did a good job for this story, but like it's hard to imagine when you go back and watch the original. Like,
was Rudy really like that? Yeah,
because he didn't have the same type of like the Eddie Murphy, like the big when Eddie Murphy's his expressions are just way more like extra.
Yeah.
Than Rudy Ray Moore does. It's almost like Rudy Ray Moore wouldn't even make like he would just stand there and just like say something without like any real expression, just be like, "I'm gonna get you, motherfucker!" Like what? Because I mean, he
Eddie
was obviously
Murphy was what Rudy Ray Moore wished he was still, so he was playing that bigger version of himself that I think was like going on.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, it is interesting, and that's just what made me. That's just what made me. It reminded me of what you're saying. So I gotta check this out.
I think you're right.
Most expensivest.
Dude, they have such a great lineup of shows on Viceland. Like we got the Viceland. We got like a cable login, so we got all the Viceland shows, and we've watched seriously everything they've like ever made. That's actually where Deez and Mero started. They had a show on Viceland, and then they went to Showtime. But man, yeah, no, I have a bunch of these written down here. Like fucking Danny's House is another really fucking good one. That's with.
Would you be able to watch all these on YouTube?
There's probably a fuckload of clips on YouTube or Dailymotion. Those they usually have uploaded, stolen shit on there.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah,
right on.
And
that's where I saw the Ancient Aliens one.
On Dailymotion, yeah.
No, I saw on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have like random episodes up on like a bunch of the stuff. Fucking
got it.
Yeah, Danny's. Do you know the rapper Danny Brown?
No.
Oh, okay. He's a rapper, and he's also apparently a super funny like comedy dude. And he has his like Danny's House is like his own like Pee-wee's Playhouse. And,
okay.
Yeah, it's just this like really fucked up Pee-wee's Playhouse, and so he like talks to his like furniture and shit like that. Except like he's got like he's got like a telescope that's like a chronic pervert masturbator and shit like that, and he's always just like it's stuff like that on that level, and then he'll have like good guests on and shit like that, and sometimes it's dumb and sometimes it's actually really fucking funny, and I'm just like, damn, these shows are all great, and I'm sure they cost like $7.
Well, we needed after watching that Brixby Bear movie too, it kind of made me like get. Also, I was watching Jingle All the Way yesterday.
Oh, classic.
Yeah. Yep, and there was like the whole like little scene where the his son was watching the Turbo Man like TV show, and it was just so like really really cheap, kind of like that Brixby Bearish quality. Like just, I mean,
Yeah.
I thought like how fun would it be to make like a show like this, but like for adults.
It would be so easy. I mean, like,
Right.
really, they like you could make a decent show with like no budget. You could just make some really dumb shit like that. If you've got an idea, just do it. Fucking Kyle Mooney from Brigsby Bear. That's all he did. He would just make dumb shows and shit like that. And then now he's on SNL and he's in the movies and shit. Like that's literally just how you do it now. It's the difference is people who would actually just go out and do something really dumb like that, and the people who just think about it and never follow through.
That's true. Fuck, man. If there isn't any sort of message I want to, or to get out there to get across, is that like you could fucking do it. Everybody out there should just fucking do it. Just Shia LaBeouf it. Just do it.
Look at how much just shit is out there. Like, how often are you watching something and you're just like, this is shit? Well, first of all, unless you're out making something, don't say a fucking word.
Right. That's true.
Because you don't have a right to. And I am actively always campaigning against non-creators who do nothing but shit on other people's work, especially stuff that they don't bother to even attempt to understand. And everybody should be judged on the merits of their work. Like, actually, I just said this the other day. I was like, I don't hate on music just because of who somebody is or like, the idea of them. Like, I had to, like, go back on some shit. I had to swallow my pride and admit after I first listened to an Ariana Grande album, like, goddamn, Ariana Grande is actually really fucking good. And it,
wow,
it hurt to admit that to myself, but now, goddamn, I'm like, I will show you some songs that are fucking bops, bro. They slap, as the kids say. I'm gonna make so many TikToks, all venti sized for Ariana Grande. Okay.
This is another thing I just found out about today. TikTok. I feel like such an old person on this show because everything is so new to me. I'm like, what is this? What is this? No, I don't know what the kids are doing these days.
I am low key like, damn. Like, I feel like I would have loved TikTok, but I cannot for the life of me. Like, I would never be caught dead, like, using some child shit like that. I can't be there on, like, a social media that is exclusively for 13-year-olds. I just can't do it. As fun as make it, like, as much as I've done little dumb shit like that, as fun as that sounds, I can't fucking do it, man.
So the thing with this is you just lip sync over a song and record yourself doing it?
Basically. Remember how stupid Vine sounded?
No, so that's what made me learn what this was today. Somebody posted a meme saying like,
or how dumb Snapchat was when we first heard about it. Now how many Instagram directs are we sending out, and how many stories do we have?
Yeah,
I can't talk shit because that sounds dumb as hell. But I'm like, I could see myself having a good fucking time with that shit too.
I didn't really know that I ever thought that Snapchat or them were dumb. I just, thought like I didn't.
I'm talking not necessarily to you, but like to the average cynical person who just shits on things,
Yeah, I didn't think of it as like gonna, be as powerful as it is right now. But I mean, most people probably didn't even think that of Facebook. Who would have thought like at the time that Facebook came out or really blew up when everybody was all up on MySpace and shit. Like,
what made me fucking die laughing the day? Somebody's like, remember how like when MySpace came and then it was Facebook and then everybody just so confidently was like, oh yeah, well, whenever the next thing after Facebook hits, and I'm like, there's gonna be nothing after Facebook, you fucking moron. And I haven't heard that in like 6 years. Once people started realizing, oh hey, giant monopoly behemoths swallow everything, there will never be anything new again, and there is no God. Hail Zuckerberg. And I've been saying, thank you. Yeah, that's always the way it was kind of going to be. There's not going to be anything after this because it's so cemented itself into reality and has sucked up all of the joy out of the world. That's what it runs on. But I had somebody actually say that shit to me unironically like 2 days ago. And I had to look at them and I just screamed with my eyes, have you learned just anything? Did you just come out of like a time machine from 2009? Like, what's wrong with you, you fucking maniac?
For what? What do you mean? What did they say?
Oh no, they just said like, well, whatever the next thing, just so flippantly, like whatever social media platform comes after Facebook, you know how fickle these things are. I'm like, it's been 10 years, you shit fuck. What's wrong with you?
I'd have to admit that back then I wouldn't have known, because I really also didn't realize, like at the time, like how much money these things were making, like back in 2008 or 2009. I was like, I didn't even think anything of it. I'm just like, okay, cool. This is how I'm gonna keep in contact with the fucking people that I talk to or whatever. Like, I wasn't even thinking about it.
Well, I don't think any of us really realized, like, hey, this is going to destroy democracy as we know it. But still.
Well, fuck. I mean, it's kind of just, reshaping, like, so many fucking things aside from all of what you were talking about, too, or what you're referring to. It's like, whoa, I just don't think the world was ready for it. Like, we just fucking...
Definitely
here's
not.
This
we
new
were not.
thing, and
yeah.
How much information, how much, like, I mean, really think about it, dude. Like, think about...
We were not responsible enough to be handed this kind of thing. Ever.
Yeah.
Somebody figured out that our attention could be monetized and traded, skipping the whole money thing, and you can just go straight to power. And hats off to them. That was clever. But, yeah, we're good and fucking fucked now. Data is important. Like, data needs to be in our Bill of Rights. We should own our data, because right now it's being used to destroy the world. Not just the country, not just democracy, the fucking world.
Yeah, that's it's like, how do you go about fucking setting up shit for that, and having people agree on shit? I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about that stuff, but it's fucking just, the thought of it is like, fuck. That's where I feel like, okay, I don't think that I'll be able to on my own really ever be so on top of it that, like, it's kind of almost like I just like, hey, whatever. I just gotta hope that I have nothing to hide, and so that, like, I just gotta live my life.
That's fair for most people, but there's things like all it's done for me is like really question things like that we used to just kind of freely do, like clicking on anything on Facebook, like a third-party application, like understanding how those things aren't vetted.
It's scary for a lot of reasons. I mean, like the idea of that, like, companies or even people protecting us, they're supposed to, like, people protecting us, like, how are they going to be able to, because there's just so many, like, hackers out there that are just kind of like, finding out new ways to, like, break into, like, the craziest things. And then it becomes this whole thing of like, well, who can you even trust? Like, even the people working for those companies could, like, be on the inside for, like,
that's exactly it. It's not even the hackers, man. I'm not even tripping about them so much as I am, like, companies just literally selling off your data. Like,
right. But I mean, the hackers, people too, that, like, people like hackers out there that are not necessarily good hackers or, like, exposing stuff that is good. I'm talking about ones that, like, work for Black Army type shit, like from Mr. Robot,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got Israeli, security companies that are trailing people out here and hacking stuff. Like, okay, we can get deep into the weeds on some shit, but, like, I read a fairly compelling like article that was about connections between that was tying the same information ops group, this Israeli hacker or security group or whatever, that I guess was just contracted or had connections with the Kushners, and they tied the story about Representative Katie Hill from the other week to when Jeff Bezos his phone was hacked or something like that, or they had some other bullshit story, like, for how it got leaked, but there was stuff that indicated it might have been hacked when they had, like, his nude photos and, like, texts he was sending back and forth to his girlfriend or some shit like that. And so this is all really in the weed stuff that I wasn't prepared to talk about, and which just makes me sound fucking crazy when I'm only half remembering, 20% of the story. But yeah, there is a lot of shit to be worried about there. Basically, like, we're sending this information to someone most of the time. How do we trust the person that does that? I mean, but fuck, anytime we use our credit card or our debit card, that's going somewhere to somebody. There's a person on the other end that like takes that transaction in and validates it. There's nothing stopping that person. I mean, other than maybe a paper trail, but there's nothing really stopping that person from just taking the shit, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, security is an illusion. Everything is built on a social contract, you know?
Right.
There's nothing that could actually stop somebody from, if they had the will to like really get in somewhere, you know?
Yeah,
What's
we
a
could really
lock
go
gonna
deep.
do?
We
What's
could
all
go
this stuff
deeper
gonna
in
do?
the weeds over here too, because it's really the reptilians that are actually in charge of this from such a long time ago too. So it really doesn't matter.
But the truth is,
that goes on,
nobody wants your shit. Nobody's coming after you. You know?
Yeah.
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 Maybe unless you're Jeff Bezos, but probably not. So nobody's coming after you. Everything's fine, and you're pretty safe. That's the moral of the story there.
Oh, well, yeah, like I said, I'm lucky that I've got nothing to worry about either which way, because you're right, like, nobody's coming after my shit, unless they're trying to steal my money, which I don't have any, so...
What money?
Again, yeah, exactly, what money?
I hacked you, bro. I saw your credit-to-debt ratio. It's not pretty, man. I'm not trying to fucking steal anybody's identity who's got, like, a fucking credit score that's, like, you know, a 98, and that's 98 out of, like, your usual, like, you know... 3,200 that you want to have or some shit.
It's called strategy, bro. It's called strategy.
I'd have way more credibility if I could remember what a good credit score was.
Yeah, I don't know, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like you don't go to the doctor because you don't want to know what's wrong with you. I don't want to go check that because I don't want to know.
Exactly. Nobody's got health insurance or financial planning. Like,
yeah,
that's the beautiful thing about being a millennial, man. It's just like, you know, the existential threat of existence itself, living in the world we do with climate change bearing down, which is just this nihilism that kind of sets in, where we're all just like, fuck the doctor. We just 401ks are bullshit. We're all just kind of banking on, you know, there not being a planet by the time it's time to retire. And I, for one, am okay with this.
Hey, it's like, what else do we do?
As I drink this malt liquor, that will definitely shaves a year off my life, one can at a time.
I could taste the malt liquor that you're speaking of over here, because I just had a little bit of the very bottom last drop of my Modelo, which is kind of warm, and then it shot me some flashbacks though to like the time I was over here at your place drinking those hurricanes.
That is the fairy dust that makes up hurricanes themselves.
Oh, it's like every drop is like a very crisp last one of those drops from the Modelo with way more alcohol in it.
Yes, by a factor of about 2.
Yeah. So.
Oh, good times. Good
I
times.
I could already smell my farts for tomorrow morning, as if they were going to be from that morning, the morning that I stayed over, and just like, oh, how did I end up on Phil's couch?
I just am excited by these time traveling farts you speak of.
Yeah, they've been watching a lot of these Netflix shows, so they kind of got the hang of it.
Okay, they exist devoid of time. They just are and always have been.
You got to talk to them about
Your farts are the
this.
alpha and the omega. And I can respect that.
It. Oh. They've got their whole system, and I don't really know how it goes.
I don't speak fart, though.
Yeah.
Is there a Duolingo for that?
Yeah, but I'm not well versed in it myself, so I just kind of have a translator. But they're not here. They're not here right now, so.
Well,
yeah.
This is what this show has devolved to. My God.
So I know that you're dying to get to what you were alluding to last night on the telephone with me. A reason to celebrate.
Oh yes, the number one thing that's on my list right now is this: fuck daylight savings time. This is some
Straight the-
bullshit.
straight the
It
fuck
gets
up.
dark by 4 o'clock, and we
Straight
don't
the
have to
fuck
live
up.
like this. This is a fucking choice. I don't think people
Yes.
understand how stupid this is that we live like this. Why? I went to bed at like fucking 7:45 at night the other day. Like, what the fuck is that? What is happening to me? I don't know what's going on. I woke up at 4 a.m. today, and I'm just like, well, this is the time we wake up, and I don't get it, man. I'm confused and I'm scared, and I think we should never allow this to happen to anybody again. So, fuck daylight savings time. And how are we going to do that? We can vote for it. Does voting matter? Of course it does, because last night we fucking swept in an off-year election, bitch. Yes, sir. That's right. As everybody, especially fans of this show, I'm sure are well aware of off-year elections in states in the Rust Belt. And, well, it was pretty goddamn exciting. Yes, I know this is literally the opposite of exciting, but trust me, this shit matters because, one, all right, you have heard me bitch about this man named Mitch McConnell for a very long time. He is a goddamn demon. He is the source of so many of our problems and woes and will not be satisfied until America is destroyed. Maybe that's a little melodramatic, but it's not it's not wrong. And so last night, he's the senator from Kentucky, and last night, Kentucky, not exactly known as a liberal bastion, elected a new Democratic governor for the first time in like 25 years. And that does not bode well for the Trumpito, who carried that state by 30 points in 2016. So things are looking real crazy in these classic, deep, blood red conservative states. Not to mention that it turns out once you un-gerrymander a place, like, say, Virginia, for example, people with the most votes actually win. And it turns out that Democrats won the entire state legislature, and they already had the governorship in Virginia, which was fantastic news from yesterday. Which means, okay, let me give you a little anecdote from the last election, because apparently Virginia has all their elections in off years because fuck any of this stuff making sense. But in 2017, literally, the whole Virginia legislature was tied up, despite Democrats getting like 65% of the vote. They only got like 40% of the gains in the seats in the state legislature, just to kind of show you what gerrymandering does. That shit was so gerrymandered that they won by like 65%, but they still had like a -10 majority in the House. That is the power of shameless gerrymandering, which was actually struck down by the Supreme Court. And once it was redistricted fairly, they took everything, which means that they can expand Medicaid. They can... Okay, you know what? I actually have a little bit here that is a better story from start to finish. So before anybody gets confused and before I get off running on my own little tangents here, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, side note. This was my favorite part. Trump went out there the day before yesterday, and he was campaigning for the guy in Kentucky. And Trump literally said, quote, "If you lose, they're going to say Trump suffered the greatest defeat in the history of the world," he said. "You can't let that happen to me." Well, he let that happen to him. So, drink that in. Drink that in. Just enjoy that. Savor it for a moment. So, Kentucky. Here's what's dope about having everything, having the state legislature in Virginia, which is that in 2020, all right, that is also a census year. Now, we do the census every 10 years. We talked about this on the show, but this is also when they redraw districts for congressional maps to decide how many congresspeople a state gets and what locations those places represent. gerrymandering historically is a way to draw maps extremely unfairly to get whatever results that you want from a place. And so Virginia was famous for having horrendous gerrymandering in their state. And now they control everything leading into 2020, which means that we will actually have fair elections in Virginia in 2020, which should not, in a normal functioning country, that would be a given. But here, this is why I am so fucking excited and very drunk tonight, because I'm still celebrating the fact that we will have free and fair elections somewhere in this country. Anyways, in Kentucky, Mississippi, and Virginia, Medicaid expansion, arguably one of the most effective and life-saving provisions in the Affordable Care Act, was on the line last night. So, for context, the Affordable Care Act initially expanded Medicaid, the federal health insurance program for low-income people, to everyone making less than 138% of the federal poverty line. But a 2012 Supreme Court ruling weakened the policy, allowing states to reject the expanded program, which many did because they wanted to have the program fail so that they could go back and say, hey, look, this Obamacare thing is bullshit and doesn't work. Anyways, as of 2019, 36 states and the District of Columbia had adopted the Medicaid expansion and 14 had not. We have seen a wealth of research showing that expanding Medicaid has not only vastly increased access to health insurance, but also improved health outcomes. About 13.6 million adults gained Medicaid coverage under Obamacare. One recent study found that by the fourth year of Medicaid expansion, mortality rates in states that expanded the program were 0.2 percentage points lower than in states that did not. On Tuesday, voters largely reaffirmed their interest in increasing healthcare access in their states. So that was incredibly good news coming out of Virginia. And not only this, but another fun fact is that it will also be, now that they can actually ratify the Equal Rights Amendment, which guarantees equal rights to everyone under the Constitution. That is not in the Constitution currently. Our rights are not explicitly granted to anybody who's not a white man. You know, that is a thing. And so things like equal pay and tons of stuff, which all falls under the Equal Rights Amendment, which we have been trying to pass for a very long time. Now that Virginia has a whole state legislature, that would make them officially the 38th state that would be in favor of passing it, which means that is enough to ratify a new amendment into the Constitution, namely this one. So all of these things are reasons to celebrate. These are things that affect all of us, and this is the reason that voting matters. Let's see. And you know what? I'm going to skip the rest of this because it gets a little bit dry in my notes here. Yeah. So there's that. I'm open for comment now. I've just been celebrating.
Lube it up. Said it's a little bit dry. It wasn't any drier than my fucking joke right there.
A lot of people went to sleep and they slept well last night. A lot of people are going to get access to healthcare. The quality of life is going to improve for a lot of people, and it also sends a very clear message because the two people that did not sleep good last night were Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell. And I don't need to explain why that's a good thing. If you don't know, now you know. Anyways, Eric and Don were probably molested by Michael Jackson. So that's also another piece of news that I found out this week.
What?
No, Don Jr. just put out a book this week. And in the book, he said, quote, let me pull this up here. The younger Trump defends his father throughout the book, including pushing back a number of times on charges that the president is racist. He said when he was a kid, Michael Jackson lived in Trump Tower and came over to play video games with him and Eric all the time. Oh, and by the way, given all the things my father has been called, particularly a racist, said Don Jr., it sure sounds odd that he'd let his son vacation with a black man or hang out with Michael Jackson, doesn't it? If he's a racist, he's sure not very good at it, end quote.
Wow.
Woo! I had so much fun with that one. Oh,
The logic. We know a black person, so we're not racist.
yeah. And the incredible, like, suspicious self-own in that. Like, oh, yeah? Would he have let me and Eric hang out as children with Michael Jackson all the time in Trump Tower? Yeah. I bet a racist wouldn't do that. It's like, who's gonna tell him?
Yeah.
Who's gonna let him know that, hey, your little secret's kind of out? Oh boy. Anyways, that was fun.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that Michael Jackson's not black or wasn't black.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? Oh man. Well, speaking of racists, there was a new viral clip this week of do you know Richard Spencer, the dapper Nazi?
That's the guy that he leads the alt-right movement, right?
Basically, yeah.
He was in that alt-right documentary, right?
Yes, he was.
He was like the main guy that they followed.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about
Richard Spencer? Famous piece of shit. Richard Spencer was the one who he was giving an interview on the street, and somebody just walked up and just fucking cold cocked him out of
Punched him.
nowhere. And then we had this like 3-week-long debate about whether it was okay to punch a Nazi. And Richard Spencer's like, I'm not a Nazi. Where's the line? Who's a Nazi? Who's not a Nazi? And then this week we had a beautiful rant that was actually released by Milo Yiannopoulos, of all people, with the most racist, slur-filled rant I can say I might have ever heard. He's just so angry at, and this is shortly after Charlottesville, he's so angry at the audacity of Heather Heyer, the activist who was run over by a car in North Carolina, to be killed by one of his cronies. And he was so furious, and he just goes on a fucking tirade. And it just kind of made all of us think back. Like, yeah, you're right. No, where are we going to draw the line at where Nazis are? Like, I just couldn't believe that we'd ever had a debate whether or not it was okay to punch this guy in the face. So that was another fun bit of trivia for the week.
Interesting.
Yeah, I am not going to bother repeating or linking to any of that terrible shit, but you can go ahead and look it up for yourself if, I don't know, Schadenfreude? Yeah, kind of weird. But also, I saw this quote online this week that really stopped me in my tracks because it was so perfect, and I did want to share it with you. He was talking about, he said, Republicans would gladly eat a shit sandwich if it meant a liberal had to smell their breath. And I thought, my God, that is the best metaphor I have heard in such a long time. So that concludes my little screaming angry corner of the week. We're at 53 minutes. What's up with you?
You have to wonder, was Donald Trump possibly an extraterrestrial sent here by the reptilians to throw everything off? And the answer is
The
yes.
answer may surprise you. More at
The
6.
answer may surprise you when we get the turn. Well, you're just
The
gonna have to
surprising
find...
answer would be no in this case.
Yeah, that's true. You're just gonna have to find out though on the next episode. What have you got coming up?
Action
Phil?
Bronson fills out his voting ballot with his friends while watching Ancient Aliens.
He's like, hey, bro. He's like, hey, man. Yeah, fuck it. I voted one time, but
I would love to
it's all
have
rigged.
Big Body Bess and Tyler the Creator on the show to talk about down ballot races for judgeships in Los Angeles County. I think that sounds like a great time.
I want to see them watch that documentary that I was telling you about, the Devil Next Door one. Have them just be like, yo, dude, so is this dude like racist or what? It's like...
I wish that like fair use laws were just loose enough to just do shows like that. I would fucking I guess you can do that on Patreon. Some people do that on Patreon. But like Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Let's do it.
Yeah, actually, for a long time there was like that Jon Stewart charity that had all those like comedy sketches and things like that, and they would sell for charity they would sell Tracy Morgan and somebody else, I forget who, doing like commentary on Game of Thrones.
What?
Like it was the episode, but then they would just talk over it and they would sell that. And like that shit, it's a funny concept, but I'm like, you can't do that. And they knew that, but they were just kind of hoping that nobody ever said shit because it was for charity.
Oh, fuck. Damn. So what happened?
I don't know. I don't think anything happened. I think they just sold it and made a lot of money for charity. For autism or something.
Well, and good for them if that was the case. That's pretty awesome. Well, anyways, go ahead and make sure that you do the thing. Follow us, like us, share us. Share us with everybody. We're shareable. We don't mind.
We are
like
super shareable influencers.
Pass us around.
Sponsor us.
Share us, sponsor us. We've already got Hurricane as a sponsor. They supply us with endless amounts of gas and hangovers.
Seamless Cash App ads, Casper. I'm doing it right now. I'm hoping this is how it works. Please send me a check.
TikTok is sponsoring us too. We've got lots of music videos out there on TikTok.
Check out my OnlyFans page, my OnlyFans TikTok. It's a combination of the two, but trust me, it will be worth it. Wink.
Well, we've got a couple things coming up though that you should stay tuned for, which are going to be the most important of which for this month would be Art in the Park. This 2-year anniversary. It's Harry Potter versus Lord of the Rings, and so it is going to be a fun day filled with wand wizards getting smashed by staff wizards, because you have to choose a side. Unfortunately, you're either from Hogwarts or you're from Middle Earth, and you're going to battle to the death, and your choice will be the most important choice you probably
bring it on, Gryffindors.
Yes, exactly. So come out to Peak Park in Buena Park on November 17th, which is a Sunday. It's going to be just like every other Art in the Park except doper, because we are going to have a wand and staff making workshop. So we're going to bring out a bunch of stuff for you to make your own wand, your own staff, and basically just going to fuck each other up with them. We're going to have like a LARPing style match, but it's going to be like, we're going to make you sign waivers and just going to fuck each other up.
Oh, no, man, I'm going to fling some beanbags right into someone's eyeball. It's going to be great.
Is great. I just don't want other people from the park to like join in, not really understanding what's going on, and just start fucking people up.
You're like, have you ever seen Role Models? And then you punch them in the face.
Yes, exactly. If you haven't seen Role Models, go brush up on that. It's a funny movie, anyways, but check it out and come prepared.
And Paul Rudd is a national treasure.
Yes, it is. So come out November 17th. And then aside from that, we've got Mutate Trifinity, which I think might be the night before or the following weekend. I have to go look at my dates. I just know those are the only two things going on for me, because I am taking a much needed break after Halloween last Thursday. I said it on the episode last week that this month is going to be my chill month, where I get to actually work on art and do stuff for myself.
As you should. You earned it.
Thank you. It's been nice. So that's what I'm gonna get on right now, is this piece that I'm working on right now. Anything else, Phil?
For me, man, I'm working on a bunch of cool shit right now, but I'm trying to think the things to promote. Now we're a little bit light on. I just want to promote the local activism group that I work with, the HB Huddle. It is a fine a group of mostly white ladies who are very good at what they do. And so I help them out in the capacities that I can. And like one of the things that we did was send postcards to Kentucky, especially ahead of this upcoming election. So I think in no small part, they help with the micro-targeting. They kind of help do what to say. We write postcards. We ship them out, and next thing you know, there's a lot of people whose lives are incrementally better across the country because of it. And it is really a great antidote to watching the news and getting sad, or watching a show that incidentally mentions the horrible fallout of the Trump presidency and getting sad, or listening to this show every week and getting sad. And so if you're local, if you're around the area, check out the HB Huddle, or shoot us a message at the show at Let It Bleedcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Any way you want to communicate, I'm right there answering it for you. And I will help you get involved, because I promise making a difference will feel fucking good. And then you can really be a dick about it. You can lord it over people. It's fantastic. I do it all the time. I can't recommend it enough. Just like I can't recommend this show. Make sure you're subscribed to us wherever you get podcasts. That is on Apple, Stitcher, iTunes, weirdly enough, Only Fans. You can ask me about that later. Comes with some special extra art for the show. And I feel like you don't know what that is, because I keep going back to that joke. I wanted a reaction, but that's okay.
Farmers Only?
I don't only... No, not Farmers Only. Jesus Christ. Can I get a Gen Z person on here? Because I need somebody who doesn't have the technological prowess of a boomer.
Of a bowler?
A boomer.
Oh, a boomer. Yeah.
You gotta get hip with it.
Actually, the boomers are fucking, like, way surpassed me in a lot of ways, like, with technology.
Oh, they have, man. Actually, it's fucking... I love this okay boomer meme that's kind of going around. It's great.
Oh. But so wait, what were you referring to, though? I might have just been, like, sneezing and ignoring you.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that. That was the second OnlyFans joke I'd made this episode, and I felt like you don't know what that is, because I thought they were both pretty good.
Farmers Only? Is that what you're talking about?
No, OnlyFans. It's like a social media website thing to, like, sell nudes, basically.
Yeah, dude, no, for real. That's what... Okay, so this girl...
Okay, you're over here gonna pretend like you don't know what the fuck OnlyFans is and make me look like the dirty motherfucker. How dare you,
No, I honestly
sir?
wasn't paying attention to you. No, that's the thing. Like,
you?
No, this girl tried to get me to do that, and I was like, what is this? Like, and she said my art, to see my art. And I'm like, what? It's kind of ridiculous. Like, why would I pay, like, money to look at your art on this thing? I really didn't know, because this is a person I knew, and I really didn't take her to be, like, she's not, like, somebody I would have expected to be doing this, which I guess is why she's doing it on this thing that you have to pay for to see. It's all exclusive, whatever. I was taken back by it, and then kind of, like, pissed. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
why do all these friend requests I'm getting on Backpage keep talking about having some fun tonight? I don't get it.
Well, it was just like, I get it if you say that's your art, but I'm not trying to be a snob about art or anything. This was not. These were just, like, photos with you lifting your shirt up and, like, you could see your boob.
I thought you were still being adorably naive. I was like, no, I am dying over here. Oh, okay.
No, that and I was just like, I go, okay, and then so I was like, yeah, I'm not paying for this. And that was the last that was, and then I'm like, and then it hit me, though. People do this. Like, this is what a lot of these girls do this, and that's it's I don't know.
We're pushing time here, but I saw somebody. It was Chris Hayes' show when he was talking about Representative Katie Hill, which I think we talked a little bit about last week. She was the one who's she was a victim of some revenge porn from her ex-husband, who she's going through a divorce right now, and she stepped down from Congress because of it. And it was all, like, consensual relationships and stuff like that, but it was really fucked up, And somebody on the news finally, Chris Hayes, who's a MSNBC anchor, was talking about, like, is it maybe time, because we're about to have a new generation of leaders and millennials who have been around these things all the time, and it's like something astounding, like 80-90% of us have all been in, like, nude pictures and shit like that before. So is it time to have a more substantive conversation about whether or not we're going to give a shit about this stuff, you know, pressure people to actually step down or affect their lives or just kind of start to be more open and inclusive towards it. And I was like, damn, I think that conversation is very interesting and going in a good way, but we don't have time to get into it right now. But I wanted to squeeze it in.
It just takes a few people to just not really give a shit and be like, yeah, I was naked, and so what? Like, see what happens. Like,
how many celebrities? There's so many out there, and we don't even like think about it or talk about it anymore. And I think it's time to just be like, you know, because fucking, yeah, let's get real. There's a lot of us have them. So it's like, why fucking happening. Trip about this shit? You know?
It is already happening. I mean, that's like, it's becoming so much more of a regular thing, and like, you know, kind of going back to other stuff that I was telling you, like, you know, at the Burn, where it was just kind of this whole other way of looking at it, and you know, it made sense.
Yeah.
And you know, I do see that as generations get, you know, more, like, I guess you could say they're just more forward thinking about that, and you know, it really can change, because it is like that in other places, in other parts of the world too, where it's not looked at in the same way. But anyways, you're right. We could get into that way, go way deeper into that, and that's for another time. We've already
gone past it. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at at Phil Nobody Cares, Instagram at Nobody Cares Phil, and that is it for me this week.
Yep, and you, as always, you know where to follow me, Hoodrat Stuff with 3 Fs on Instagram. Follow the Psychedelic Lions Den. That's psychedelic_lions_den. And yeah, you know, thank you for tuning in, sticking with us week in and week out. Stay strong. One day we're actually going to be entertaining, and you know, make you guys laugh a little bit.
Boom.
Okay, well, we'll just fuck it. We already
just drag it down to the mud. And
yeah, you know what? It's like we were already bled out. You guys
let it flush.
Just let it flush. Just go. All right. See you later, everybody.